People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Poppy Wright, a vibrant and successful travel writer for the prestigious magazine Rest and Relaxation, finds herself in a paradoxical state. She has her dream job, a chic New York City apartment, and the freedom to explore the world. Yet she is deeply, inexplicably unhappy. The spark has gone out of her travels and her life. During a heart-to-heart with her best friend, a glamorous but grounded lifestyle blogger named Rachel Crone, Poppy is asked a simple, piercing question. When was the last time she was truly happy? The answer comes to her instantly and with aching clarity. 2 years ago, in Croatia, with her best friend, Alex Nilsen. The problem is, they haven't spoken since. This realization propels Poppy to break 2 years of near total silence. She sends a tentative text to Alex, a tall, stoic, and endearingly proper high school English teacher who still lives in their shared hometown in Ohio. To her surprise, he responds, and their old witty banter resumes as if no time had passed, filled with inside jokes about stolen sandwiches from the teacher's lounge and his famous sad puppy face. Emboldened, Poppy suggests they take one last summer trip together for old time's sake. Alex reveals he's already heading to Palm Springs for his younger brother David's wedding. Seizing the opportunity, Poppy proposes they make a vacation out of it beforehand. When her intimidating boss, Swapna, rejects the idea for the magazine, Poppy makes a monumental decision. She takes a week of vacation, pays for the trip herself, and tells Alex it's all on the company's dime, desperate to recreate the magic they once shared without the burden of finances. Their friendship began 12 summers ago during orientation week at the University of Chicago. Poppy, dressed in a loud vintage floral jumpsuit, approached Alex, who looked utterly out of place in a sensible pair of khakis and a university t-shirt. They were polar opposites from the start. She was a bubbly, adventurous spirit from East Linfield, and he was a quiet, reserved bookworm from West Linfield. Their initial conversation was awkward, and they parted ways certain they would never speak again. Fate, however, had other plans. At the end of their freshman year, they were unexpectedly paired up for a carpool ride back to Ohio. The first stretch of the drive was painfully silent until Poppy, unable to bear the quiet, insisted on putting on music. This led to the discovery of their hilariously mismatched tastes. Alex, it turned out, had a vehement, almost religious hatred for saxophones and cover songs. Poppy, on the contrary, loved almost everything with an infectious, open-hearted enthusiasm. This stark difference sparked the first real conversation they'd ever had, a miles-long debate and exchange of their likes and dislikes that was so funny and revealing it cemented their unlikely bond. Poppy learned that beneath Alex's reserved exterior was a surprisingly goofy, deeply loyal man. Alex found in Poppy a whirlwind of color and joy that pulled him out of his shell. By the time they reached Ohio, a profound friendship had been forged. This friendship blossomed over the next decade, with their annual summer trip becoming a sacred tradition. Their first trip, 10 summers ago, was a budget adventure to Vancouver Island. It was here Alex revealed his crippling fear of flying, and Poppy, holding his hand through the turbulence, promised to be his anchor. They explored the misty forests, encountered a traveling community of hippie surfers led by a charmingly grimy man named Buck, and shared a tent, their bond deepening amidst the damp and laughter. Now, in the sweltering heat of Palm Springs, things are different. Their reunion at the airport is a mix of warmth and apprehension. Alex envelops her in a familiar, comforting hug, and for a moment, the 2 years of distance melt away. But the trip gets off to a disastrous start. The budget-friendly Airbnb Poppy booked is a nightmare. The air conditioning is broken, there's only one bed instead of the advertised 2, and a sheet of plastic covers their balcony, trapping heat and obscuring the view of a construction site. The first night, Alex insists on taking the makeshift, uncomfortable pull-out chair, And in the morning, he throws his back out, leaving him in agony and mostly confined to bed. This forces Poppy to venture out alone into the desert heat, a lonely start to their reunion. Her solo trips to the local art museum and a street of mid-century modern furniture stores feel hollow. She's trying to recreate the freewheeling joy of their past trips, like their vacation 9 summers ago in Nashville. Back then, they had adopted the personas of a dramatic Broadway power couple, Gladys and Keith Vivant, as an inside joke. They rode a mechanical bull, got drunk in dive bars, and Poppy had the first startling realization that she wanted to kiss her best friend, a feeling she quickly buried deep inside. Now, in Palm Springs, the pressure and heat become overwhelming. The carefully laid plans for the day, feeding giraffes at the zoo, visiting a botanical garden, fall apart due to bad timing and the oppressive weather. The day culminates in a flat tire on their rust bucket of a rental car, leaving them stranded on the side of a desert highway. The disastrous chain of events leaves them both frustrated and on edge. Back at the sweltering apartment, the tension finally erupts. After a tense argument where Alex accuses Poppy of trying to force a friendship that no longer exists, a sudden desert thunderstorm breaks. As the rain pours down, they rush onto the balcony, tearing down the plastic sheeting to let the cool drops wash over them. In this moment of catharsis, with the rain soaking their clothes and plastering their hair to their skin, the emotional dam between them finally breaks. Alex admits he's wanted her for years, and Poppy, overwhelmed by a flood of long-suppressed feelings, pulls him into a desperate, searching kiss. The kiss is everything they've held back for a decade, hungry, tender, and explosive. It moves from the balcony to the floor, a tangle of limbs and whispered confessions as they make love for the first time amidst the storm. This new intimacy is exhilarating, but also terrifyingly fragile. The following day is spent in a haze of lazy swimming and stolen glances at the hotel they've relocated to, with the unspoken question of what now hanging between them. To understand the weight of that question, one must look back at their shared history. 7 summers ago, in New Orleans, they were at their playful peak, yet the introduction of Poppy's then-boyfriend, Guillermo, and Alex's pining for his university crush, Sarah Torval, highlighted the unspoken boundaries of their own relationship. A year later, 6 summers ago, in Vail, Poppy was reeling from her breakup with Guillermo, and Alex was newly serious with Sarah. On that trip, Alex carried Poppy down a mountain after she twisted her ankle, a profound act of care that led to a moment of raw vulnerability where he confessed that she was the only person who had ever truly invented him, who saw the real person he was. The turning point came 4 summers ago, on a work trip to Scandinavia that never happened. Poppy fell gravely ill with pneumonia in her New York apartment, and Alex, upon hearing the news, abandoned his flight and rushed to her side. For days, he nursed her, his care so tender and all-consuming that the lines of their friendship blurred into something intensely intimate. They fell asleep in each other's arms, the air thick with unspoken love and desire, but they never crossed the final line, both seemingly terrified of the consequences. A year after that, in Tuslany, they tried to integrate their respective partners, Trey and Sarah, into their world. The trip was a disaster of forced pleasantries and simmering jealousies, culminating in a pregnancy scare for Poppy. In the pre-dawn light, a terrified Alex held a weeping Poppy, his own tears revealing a deep-seated fear of losing her that went far beyond friendship. It became clear to both of them that their bond was a threat to their other relationships. This all led to Croatia 2 summers prior. Accompanied by a chatty, elderly photographer named Bernard, the trip was a beautiful but torturous exercise in restraint. On their last night, drunk on wine and the bittersweet reality of their situation, they kissed. It was messy and desperate, and Alex, fearing he was taking advantage of her while she was still hurting from a recent breakup, pulled away. He insisted they were too drunk, that it was a mistake. Poppy, deeply wounded and wanting to salvage their friendship, agreed too quickly, dismissing the kiss as meaningless. This misunderstanding
His fear of hurting her fear of being rejected, was the wound that festered into 2 years of silence. Back in the present, the wedding of Alex's brother provides the backdrop for their final reckoning. David, who has always been Poppy's favorite of the Nilsen brothers, pulls her aside. He reveals that Alex had been on the verge of proposing to Sarah after the Tuscany trip, but broke it off, unable to go through with it because of his overwhelming feelings for Poppy. This revelation shatters Poppy's perception of their history. She confronts Alex, and he finally confesses everything. His decade-long love for her, his fear that he was just a vacation from her real life, and his terror of building a life with her only to lose her. He had rejected her in Croatia not because he didn't want her, but because he wanted her so much he couldn't bear it if she didn't feel the same way with equal certainty. Poppy, in turn, confesses her own fears, that she is fundamentally unlovable, that he's her home, and that she would give up her life in New York, a life she fought so hard to build, to be with him. Standing on the sun-bleached asphalt of his old high school parking lot, surrounded by the ghosts of their pasts, they finally choose each other. The fear doesn't disappear, but the love proves stronger. The epilogue finds them 5 months later in New York. Alex has moved, taking a teaching job in the city. Poppy has left her globe-trotting job at R&R for a new column focused on the people and places of New York, a job that allows her to connect with people in a way she realizes she's been craving all along. Their life together isn't a permanent vacation. It's filled with the mundane realities of work, laundry, and navigating a life together. But for Poppy, being with Alex, the one person who knows her completely, feels like coming home. The thrill of travel has been replaced by the profound joy of building a life with the person who has been her greatest adventure all along.